welcome to the channel. My name is Eugene. If it's your first time here, a special welcome to you. Now today we are going to look at some words which are sometimes confusing and people struggle with them in terms of the spelling, how they are used, and pronunciation, as well as their meanings. So my aim today is to make some clarification concerning a few of those words. And from time to time, we'll have tutorials on such words because there are many of them. All right, so what I'm going to do today, I'm going to have some pairs of words, and in each of those pair, you are going to have words which sound alike or almost alike, but they have different meanings. So they are used differently in sentences. But if you are not aware or conscious of the fact that there are subtle differences, then you might just misuse them. So my aim today is to clarify all those, that in future you are less likely to make those kinds of mistakes. So I hope when the lesson is complete, you would have gained something from it. So let's get straight into the lesson. Okay, here we go. The first set of words that we have is license. License. Now, a license is a document, some form of permit to give you authority to do something. So for example, a driver's license that authorizes you to drive a motor vehicle. Okay, now we have two forms of the word license here. The first one is spelled L-I-C-E-N-C-E, and that is the noun. So the actual document, the license, the document that you are given, that is this L-I-C-E-N-C-E, that's the license, right? That's a noun. The next one is spelled L-I-C-E-N-S-E. That is the verb. So for example, you say you are going to license your motor car. Then that's a verb. So it is spelled with an S here instead of a C. So bear in mind, the one which is the document, which is a noun, is spelled L-I-C-E-N-C-E. And the one which is a verb, the action that you're going to do, you're going to license your motor car, that is L-I-C-E-N-S-E. So please make sure you know the difference between them. Right? But they are pronounced the same way. Both of them are pronounced license. All right. The next word is course. The next set of words is course. The first one is C-O-U-R-S-E, while the next is C-O-A-R-S-E. Both of them are pronounced the same way, but they have different meanings and they are spelled differently. Now, the first one, C-O-U-R-S-E, is like a path. Like you say, the course that the aeroplane takes, or the course that the ship takes, or the car, or whatever, or even a human being walking, you take a certain course, you take a certain path. So that is C-O-U-R-S-E. Now over here we have C-O-A-R-S-E, and that means a rough surface, like sandpaper or Scotch-Brite or whatever material that has a coarse texture. So that is C-O-A-R-S-E. So please note the differences. Course, C-O-U-R-S-E, is a path that you take, whether a vehicle or a person, an aeroplane, a ship, whatever, it's a path. So that is C-O-U-R-S-E. While C-O-A-R-S-E means something rough, coarse. The next set of words we have here, we have aisle. Aisle. One is I-S-L-E, while the other is A-I-S-L-E. Both of them are pronounced the same way, but they are spelled differently and they have different meanings. Now, I-S-L-E is a very small island. So isle, because the word island is I-S-L-A-N-D, so that is a kind of indicator that you could use to tell that this is related to an island. I-S-L-E, while A-I-S-L-E refers to a passageway. Maybe in a church, it's a passageway between a row of seats. So if you go into a church, you see those rows of seats, that passageway you see between those rows of seats. That is what it's called an aisle. It's not in an aeroplane too, right? Or even a bus, you know, any passageway between rows of seats. That is called an aisle, and that is spelled A-I-S-L-E. So the first one, I-S-L-E, refers to an island, while A-I-S-L-E refers to that passageway. All right. So the next set of words now we have advice and advise and advice. If you notice, there's a subtle difference in the pronunciation here. So you have advise, A-D-V-I-S-E, and you have advice. Advise and advice. Now, advise is a verb, while advice is a noun. A verb is an action word. A verb refers to something that is an action, right? While a noun is something. All right. So, A-D-V-I-S-E, remember again, is advise with an S, and that is the verb. Advise. And the second one is advice with a C. Notice the difference in the pronunciation. The one with the S is pronounced advise, while the one with the C is pronounced advice. And bear in mind that the advise is the verb and advice is the noun. And you know what an advice is, right? It's some recommendation or suggestion given to somebody who was the authority and the subject that you want that advice on. Whether a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. If you go to the doctor, you ask certain questions, then the doctor will give you some advice. That is the noun, that is the thing, give you some advice. Right? Or if you go to your lawyer and ask some questions regarding something legal, then the lawyer will give you some advice. The lawyer doesn't give you advice, the lawyer gives you advice. But if you're going to use advice in a sentence, then you could say, the lawyer advised me, the lawyer advised me, or the doctor advised me, right? So please note the difference here. Now the next set of words that we have here, we have root, R-O-U-T-E, and we have R-O-O-T. Both of them are pronounced root, but as I said before, these words, they might be pronounced the same way, but they have different spellings and different meanings. So root, R-O-U-T-E, is like a part, like course up here, C-O-U-R-S-E is a part. It's just a different way of saying it, all right? While R-O-O-T is the part of the tree that is anchored into the ground. That the part of the tree that grows into the ground, they call it root, R-O-O-T. While R-O-U-T-E is a path. Like you said, the taxi route or the bus route or the aeroplane route is a path that something or somebody takes. All right? So let's move on over here. Now we have L-O-O-S-E here and we have L-O-S-E here. Now one is loose and one is lose. One is loose, one is lose. So this is L-O-O-S-E, that is pronounced loose, while L-O-S-E is lose. A lot of people make mistake with this because we tend to use L-O-O-S-E when we should use L-O-S-E and vice versa. Right? Now loose means not fitted firmly in place. Right? It's something that is not fitted firmly in place. So, and lose is when you are deprived of something that you normally have, you no longer have it, so you lose it. Okay? So there's a difference there. So loose is something that is not firm. Okay? It's not firmly in place. While L-O-S-E is loose. Loose and lose. If you notice, there's a slight difference in the pronunciation, almost the same, but there's a slight difference. Loose, lose. And lose means when you no longer have something. You are deprived of it, so you lose it. If you go to the gambling shop and you come back without money after gambling, then you lose that money. Okay, so it's L-O-S-E for that one. All right, let's move on. We have practice and we have practice. Notice the first one is P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E, and the second one is P-R-A-C-T-I-S-E. Both of them are pronounced practice, but one is a noun and one is a verb. So the P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E is the noun, while P-R-A-C-T-I-S-E is the verb. Now, to practice something is to repeat it over and over and over with the aim of getting better over time. All right. So if you practice to play football, then that is a verb. You practice, that means you are doing an action. You practice to play football, or you practice to play the piano, or you practice to sing. This is an action you are doing. So that is P-R-A-C-T-I-S-E. So whenever it's an action, you use P-R-A-C-T-I-S-E. And bear in mind that action words are what we call verbs in the English language. Now, P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E is a noun. Okay? So you could say you go to football practice. You practice to play football, which is a verb. That will be P-R-A-C-T-I-S-E. But you go to football practice. P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E. That's a noun. So please bear that in mind. Now the next set of words we have here, we have sight and sight. We have S-I-G-H-T and we have S-I-T-E. Both of them are pronounced sight, but if you notice they are spelled differently and they have different meanings. So S-I-G-H-T is the sight, meaning which relates to your eyes, your ability to see, sight. Good? While S-I-T-E is a place or a piece of land where you have a construction project, whether it's a house, some form of building, a monument or something like that. That would be S-I-T-E. So S-I-G-H-T is related to seeing, your sight, your eyes, S-I-G-H-T. While S-I-T-E is a piece of land where there's some form of construction going on. All right? So sight, the one that you use your eyes with, is S-I-G-H-T, while that piece of land where some construction is going on is called a site, but S-I-T-E. All right? Now the next one, story and story. This is one very common one. Story, story. Now S-T-O-R-E-Y refers to a level on a building. Right? So you might have a 10-story building. So each of those levels is called a story, and that is spelled S-T-O-R-E-Y. When you read a book, that story is S-T-O-R-Y. So please don't confuse them. All right? S-T-O-R-E-Y is referring to the different levels in a maybe a multi-story building, whether 10-story, whatever. But it refers to each of those levels, a story, S-T-O-R-E-Y. While S-T-O-R-Y refers to the story that you read in a book. The last one here we have is poll and poll. P-O-L-E and P-O-L-L. One refers to voting in an election, while the other refers to a piece of material that is usually sometimes placed in the ground, and not necessarily, because you have this sport they call pole vault. I don't know how many of you know of that, where they use a long pole to jump over a barrier. All right, so that is pole, like a light pole or a flag pole. So you get what I mean. While P-O-L-L is the act of voting. All right, so that's the difference there. So the one which refers to that long slender thing that you might put in the ground, whether a light pole or a flag pole or any other pole, is P-O-L-E, while the act of voting is P-O-L-L. That's it for today, folks. I hope you found some value in that lesson. And even if you don't have an issue with those words, you might just know somebody who does. So please share it with someone, whether it's a relative, a friend, a child, an adult, somebody learning the language, just about anyone. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next lesson. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you have not subscribed as yet, and you have been finding value in these lessons, please consider subscribing. Thank you.